All right, friends, we are to our final assignment, assignment 4.3, the actual usability report. So you should be well on your way to doing your usability test if you haven't yet and getting ready to write about it. So let's look at all the components that we need for this one. So 4.3, the final will be due by May 11th at 5 p.m. This will serve as your final. In this final part of assignment 4, you are going to write a formal lab report on the findings of your usability test for your client. Keep in mind this lab report is formal. It needs to follow the dual streams of scannable reports. Keep using your headings, subheadings, images, and lists to make all your information scannable. Also remember that you are continuing to write to your client as an audience, not me, not the actual users, but to the owner of the website. Continue to explain the why behind your processes and discussions, and continue to show directly how the results of your test are going to benefit your client. You're being persuasive throughout all of this. This one is going to have 6 components: the abstract, introduction, procedure, results, discussions, and conclusions. So your abstract is just going to be a brief paragraph telling your client what this report is, what the test performed was, and some key takeaways. The abstract should both serve the purpose of the lab report, summarizing the key takeaways, as well as serve the goal of informing the client on why you are giving them this report. So you can see abstracts in the several samples that I gave you. I provided many more samples for this. 2 of them are not from our class, and the rest are from this class. They are not from my class. They are just ones that I have gathered. They may be a little bit different since we're using one testing subject, but overall you can take a look at those to get a really good feel with how these should look. Introduction, you're going to explain the general processes you used. What is usability testing? Why are you doing it? Who is the key audience you are testing? Who are your subjects? What are the predictions you made in 4.1 on poor designs? This is basically a brief summary of your assignment 4.1. You may even include phrases like, as discussed in our memo on fill in the date, we plan to whatever. So you can actually refer back to your 4.1 assignment or that proposal that you wrote at the beginning of the unit. You want to remind the client of what you've already done together. And you're also going to walk a careful balance of explaining your theories without treating your client like they're an idiot. So remind them, but give them credit also. No one wants to be spoken to like a child as someone's trying to convince them to give them money for something. Procedure. So here you're going to explain the specific procedures. So you're going to rely heavily on 4.2 and talk about how these played out in actuality. So here you're explaining what actually happened in the usability test as you work through those processes. You are going for being able to replicate the experiment in case your client wants to repeat the test with a larger sample size. You need to give details on how you ran the experiment in past tense. So talk to the client like you would talk to the client if you were speaking with them face to face, right? So everything happened in past tense. What was your protocol? What were your scenarios? How long did everything last? How long did it take the testing subject to get through certain things? So just be sure to be detailed here. This is why you also need to take detailed notes whenever you're doing the usability testing, so you can include those in procedures. Then in results, you're going to choose several key block quotes from your testing subject and provide an image from the website that illustrates each quote, what each quote is specifically talking about. So you need to be recording your usability test, so you will have verbatim block quotes from your testing subject, and you're going to use that and put that beside an image that shows what they're referring to. Now you can refer to the student samples to see what this looks like in a final product. What did each subject state about a specific part of the site? And in this case, it's going to be the subject because everyone's only going to test one. And then describe 3 major problems that need fixing right now, and then 3 minor problems. And then in discussions, what do your results mean? What were the most common errors you saw? How do those errors differ from or corroborate the predictions in your introduction? So if the errors are a little bit different than the way you described them, that's okay. No need to cover it up. You can actually make that a talking point in discussion. What you're going to say is, although we predicted that X was a major problem, we found during testing that Y was the biggest obstacle for the user. You also need to discuss which problem you'll tackle first. And then how will your solutions benefit the company? So remember, you're going to be persuasive again, and you're going to relate this back to the way this is going to benefit the company. They're going to spend money to make money, and you need to let them know that in this part. So how will it directly impact the user, the experience, and most of all, profitability, because that's what people are concerned about when they think about websites. They don't have websites out there just because. They have them out there because they want to reach more clients and make more money. So you need to put your suggestions in those terms. And then you also need to talk about some possible solution following Krug's tweaks methods from chapter 11. So for each of your 3 major problems, I want you to provide 1 quick fix or tweak that could be implemented immediately. So remember Krug's advice on reductive versus additive changes, and always think about reducing content and pages rather than adding. And then I want a long-term fix that will take some time to produce but will make the website perfect. So provide an example solution from the competitor site. So you're going to draw on this from your 4.1 assignment for each problem. And then finally, your conclusions. So summarize your suggestions for the company moving on. What are the things to fix first? What would come next? Should the company do more usability testing, and why? On what issues? So refer back to the idea of profitability. So how would this test directly benefit the company? Why is it worth it? So you're just summarizing what happened, saying, what you're going to do first and what order it might come in, and then make suggestions for future testing or changes in this. Now, again, you're going to see how all of this plays out in several samples that I provided. So really utilize those samples to figure out how you want to tackle this.